Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. And now it's time to take a look at a Renegade GoBot. Here we have Spoiler. Now, Spoiler came out in 1984. He would also be available in 1985 for a brief bit before being discontinued. It's long been said about Spoiler that he obviously takes some inspiration from the Transformer toy Sideswipe, in the fact that they share the same alt mode and they're even the same color. Well, that's probably true, but not in the same sense as what most fans would think. Because the GoBot toys as we know them, many of these guys were available in the 1970s as inexpensive toys put out in Japan. They were called the 600 series Machine Robo toys because they cost 600 yen. So they were relatively inexpensive to pick up. Whereas the toy that eventually became Sideswipe was a Takara Car Robots toy from their Diaclone line. And it was also considerably bigger and was likely made available in the late 70s. Judging by a lot of the things that I've seen of many of the Japanese promos from that time. So, in a way, it may be said that Sideswipe took more from this toy than the reverse. Just a little history for you, folks. Of course, there's also further history involving Spoiler himself. Back when Tonka was giving brief consideration on creating character bios for the GoBots, Spoiler here was given a bio that made him out to be psychotic, half-crazed, and to have a rivalry with the Guardian GoBot Turbo. And also, Spoiler was referred to as a female. The idea, however, since Tonka didn't believe that we would bother with reading that stuff, was discarded. However, the notes on that would be recycled by the producers at Hanna-Barbera and used for the personality of Crasher. So yes, at one point, Crasher was originally intended to be male in the original lineup, but due to the way things were done up for the cartoon series, Crasher wound up being a female, and Spoiler became a male. Now let's take a look here at Spoiler. And this one's kind of seen some action here, because as you can see, the paint on his eye visor is starting to chip a little. And he's one of them that I described in my last video, where there is considerably noticeable difference on the colors between the plastic and the metal parts. The metal that forms his body is considerably brighter than the plastic that forms his arms or his legs. So that is something you will have to put up with. It'll be more pronounced when he's in car mode. Now let's take a look at his articulation. Spoiler has the typical articulation for most GoBots, in the fact that he can rotate his arms at the shoulders all the way, and he can bend his legs at the knee. To convert Spoiler into his alternate mode, the first thing we have to do is we raise his arms up into an I surrender pose. And then we slide his arms down at the shoulder to about his hips, and then press them into his body. And then we fold over his legs, totally over onto the backside. And there we have him in his alternate mode. He's a sports car. More specifically, a 70s style Lamborghini Countach. So naturally, by being a Lamborghini, he would be a very popular toy. Since, let's face it, Lamborghinis are not a common sight in most areas. And of course, Spoiler gets his name from the fact that right here at the back of the car is a spoiler. Yeah, I know, it's pretty dumb. But as you can notice, especially here when you look at the top view, you can definitely see the noticeable difference in the plastic. See the body, where at the top of the gull doors, and of course the hood, the central portion of the hood, are in a brighter color because it's painted on metal, whereas the back of the car and certainly the rest of the front of the car are made of plastic, so they're molded in this color, and thus it's a noticeable difference, and that's been one of the biggest criticisms directed at Spoiler. You have to overlook that if you want to really enjoy the toy. I personally don't think you really need to overlook it. It's just one of those things of, hey, it is what it is. But you shouldn't let that ruin your enjoyment of the figure. The thing that I can go along with on them is the fact that why did they feel they had to chrome the spoiler? Normally on the few Lamborghinis that I have seen, especially of Countach here, and I do hope I'm saying that right. If I'm not, I do apologize. But most of them that I have seen, the spoiler is usually the same color as the car itself. It's not done as a different color. Unless you're making it out to be that way just to prove that you're spoiled. Ding! Alright, getting back to Spoiler now. He's got 4 rubber tires on here, so he should roll very good here on this table. Oh yeah, he rolls good. He rolled so good, in fact, he went off the edge of the table. There we go, bring him back. Plus, a little detail to notice here is that Spoiler, it does tend to be a little bit loose. You can twist it a bit. Because he did that, apparently, going off the edge of the table. So we'll just straighten that back up. Not so fast this time. Okay. Right into the poster board. So all in all, it does have that as its play value to go with. It is a fast-rolling little car. Shifting back here to the robot mode. Then we get down to my thoughts. What do I think of Spoiler? Spoiler, I think, was one of the more underrated characters in the GoBot lore. Hanna-Barbera really didn't know much of what to do with him since they recycled his personality for Crasher, for better or for worse. But then that means they kind of left Spoiler here with a rather drab and rather boring outlook, to say the least. There really wasn't much. They didn't build on him with anything. That also partially is on Tonka for not creating something more for these characters. So once again, Spoiler becomes a victim of lazy marketing on behalf of his creators. I agree with many fans that the discoloration between the metal and the plastic is distracting, especially if he's in his car mode. It is rather distracting to notice that it isn't uniform. And on a car like a Lamborghini, something like that is very distracting, since we all enjoy the fine lines and the smooth look of a Lamborghini. We'd like it even more if we would be allowed to sit in the passenger seat. I won't say sitting in the driver's seat, I can't drive a stick, so sitting in the driver's seat of a Lamborghini is a long shot for me at best. But at any rate, I think with a little better characterization, Spoiler might have turned out a little bit better. But instead, he just falls into the lineup of generic character, and unfortunately will always be remembered as such, unless the GoBots are given a chance for redemption. At any rate, that concludes my review of the Renegade GoBot Spoiler. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you liked this video, drop me a thumbs up here on YouTube. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button down below to join our ranks, and ring the bell so you'll be notified when we post new content. Also, please consider sharing this video with your friends. That's what helps this channel grow. And share your thoughts about Spoiler in the comments down below. This is Sparkster1701 saying I'll catch you all later.